All right, guys, in today's segment, Dennis and I talk about our interactions with other healthcare workers as healthcare workers ourselves.
First couple
As
months as an
always, if
attending.
you enjoyed the
And I briefly
content, please
mentioned
like, comment, and subscribe
that
to help grow the
the
channel.
interruptions are a little bit more as an attending than they were as a fellow or resident. Because when you're a fellow or resident, they don't want to talk to you, they want to talk to the attending.
Mhm.
So, but with those interruptions, usually they're interactions with other providers. That's usually how you get interrupted. Curious what your experience has been in terms of interacting with other, well, we can start with techs, but your
Mhm.
interactions with techs and nurses and
Mhm.
other doctors that aren't radiologists. So I'm interested to hear how your interactions with the other
You know,
people go.
in my interactions, I think I've been really lucky with departments that I've gone to. I've gone to a lot of really departments that have, as a traveler, I can speak as a traveler, have welcomed me with open arms and kind of like taught me things I needed to know and like been friendly with me and some people I met in departments, you know, you meet out with and you go out to eat with or you go play
Yeah.
sports with or you go, meet their different friends and family, which is always like a cool outside of work dynamic. But I'm really lucky with inside, work wise too, getting along with everybody really well and trying to fit in. But my mindset's always like I treat myself like I'm one of the full time, like I'm going to be here for like forever. Like,
Yeah.
this is my forever job. Um, and that's the mindset I have. I want to be like show ownership in the facility that I'm at and the people that I'm around because this might be where they're from and like I respect, I'm very proud of where I'm from and what I've
Hmm.
so I don't want to come in and be like, this is how they do it
Yeah.
here. This is, whatever. Like I respect your community and where you're from. And so I've gotten along with great interactions with even the nurses that I worked with. I mean, there's always going to be like some mean folks
Yeah.
that are just mean. It whether you're a nurse or a doctor or whatever your profession is, you're mean because you're mean, folks.
Just so
But
you don't have any personal experience with a bad, like nothing sticks out in your mind. You're like, oh man, I remember this one time. It
I,
doesn't even have to be that bad, really. But
instance I can think of with a nurse that I wanted to get this patient that was going downhill out of the department that I could
yeah.
see their status was changing. I can't remember all the specifics exactly, but I was like, I want to get them back with the doctors that know them, the nurses that know them
Hmm.
on their floor. And so I remember taking this patient back upstairs, getting the patient back to their room, and then me and the other traveler had um had the patient's bed and we were like, where do we put this bed? And they said, I remember the nurse at the front desk said, well, you shouldn't have brought them up here if you can't, if you don't know where to put the bed back. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
Excuse
like
me, bitch.
I'm like, I'm like, what do you mean? Like, okay, like, so I asked the lady, you don't know what to do with the bed. And I was like, will anybody else help us? And she was just like, she like just blew us off completely. And we were like, okay, well then forget it. I'm just going to leave the bed right here. And
Yeah.
so I left the bed at the front desk, went back downstairs. Me and the other traveler like talked about it. I was like, I can't believe like that lady wasn't like, because like we were new at this hospital, both of us, and we didn't know where different things were. And they actually contacted, I think that lady or the lady's boss contacted our
Yeah.
manager, and the manager essentially told them like, hey, these guys brought the bed up, they asked where they should return it to. The lady just said, you should have thought about that before you brought the patient up. Not that like, hey, call transport or hey, call this person and they'll take care of it, or you guys just do that, because I'll take it wherever you need me to.
Yeah.
uh, but she was just like, you should have thought about that. And I was just like, forget you, lady, like there's no reason for you to act that way. And so he went over it with them, was just like, hey, there's two travelers, they didn't know where it went. This is what the lady said to them. And so I don't know how it was taken care of, but there's always like, it's just
Yeah.
stupid stuff like that people just say things, and it's like, this lady's going down, like her status is changing. Like she definitely, if it gets bad, she shouldn't be in radiology. That was a crummy instance that I've had with a nurse being a traveler. But there was one, okay, I can give you one other
Yeah.
instance.
Here we go. Yeah. Good.
This is
People love tea. You know.
whew, this I was working the weekends alone, and I went to the OR called, and so I needed to go to the operating room for I don't know, a DNC, or it was, I can't remember what procedure it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
And so they need me. They say, we need you like right now. And I'm the only person in the hospital that does what I do.
Yeah. Good.
And so I've got the ER, I've got the floors that I need to take care of, and then I need to set out time to go do this OR patient, and they're telling me we need you now. And so I
Yeah.
just finished up with an ER patient. I've got like 2 more ER patients I'm supposed to do, but okay, they need me. So I set everything aside. I had a tech assistant at this particular
Yeah.
place. And so I'm like, hey, like I'll be back. I take everything down. I put all the scrubbed in, everything I need
Hmm.
to put on to go to the OR. I walk in the room. They say that we need to go to OR room 1. And so I walk in and nobody's there. And I'm like, okay, like I've got 2 ER patients, outpatients I need to get to. Like you call me down here now, and like nobody's here. And so I
They're
talked
not in the operating room at all.
like it was just like a bright operating room with nobody there. And I
Gosh.
was like, okay, they told me this is where I need to be. Like this is room, I don't know, 8, room
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so on the way, I was like, I'm just gonna leave my machine here because this is where I'm supposed to be. And I have other rooms that I'll use different machines while I'm doing ER patients or whatever, and they need me, they'll call me back. So I stopped at the front desk and I said, hey, um, I'm here to do the ultrasound in that particular OR case. I'm just going to leave my machine here. Just have them call me when they want me, and I'll be right back. She got a phone call. She comes in while I'm doing this
Yeah.
particular ER patient and says,
Yeah.
hey, like they want to know where you're at. Like they're about to get started. And I was like, I was just there like 20 minutes ago and nobody was in there. Like about to get started. Like you called me down before no one's there. And I talked to the lady at the front desk because I didn't know where I was going. So I had to ask her which room to go to. And so I was like, okay, tell them in like 15 minutes, I'm on my way. Back over to the OR, put the cap and shoes and things back on
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
walk in to the front of it. As I'm walking in, I see a nurse like pushing the machine down the hallway. And she just like angry. Like she has this angry face. And I think there's
Yeah.
another
Pushing
nurse
your machine, you mean?
pushing my machine
Yeah.
down the
Yeah.
hallway. And she was just so mad. And I walked up to her and she was like, the the surgeon, whoever it was, is so mad at you. Where were you? Like we waited for you.
Yeah.
You didn't show up. And I was like, no. Like I was here. Like I brought, obviously you knew I was here. Like I brought the machine down. And they were like, no, you needed to be in ORH1 or like
Yeah.
whatever it was. And I was like, well, like I went in there and I asked the front desk lady where that was. And she said, that's where it is. And she was like, no, it's the other one that's around the corner. Like, it's like, there's 2 separate room 1s or something like,
Yeah. Good.
and I went to the wrong one apparently. And then I asked the lady at the front desk and she didn't say, hey, like check the other one or, hey, like whatever. Like, and I'd never been there before. And she was just like, I remember her just like yelling down the hallway, like essentially like I was so in the wrong, and like you can't believe you did this, and like you gave bad patient care, and like you weren't there and we needed you, and like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm like, I'm the only one in the hospital, like I'm doing the ERs, the out inpatients, and now like you just randomly drop this on a dime. Like you don't schedule, like you don't say, hey, like there's this OR case that we're going to do at 1 o'clock. We need you to like set time
Yep.
aside. This is where you go. This is what you're going
Yeah.
to do. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it was just like, be at the OR now. And I was, and she was so mad. And I was like, and this was, I was fairly new to traveling still at this point.
Was the
And
surgeon pissed?
via the nurse, I never actually got to talk to the surgeon, but
He wasn't in the, or he or she wasn't in the room when you went in?
well, I never made it to the room because the nurse was bringing the machine to me as I was walking into the OR. Like I wasn't walking into, like they were coming down the hall.
So they were already done.
They're already done, finished, whatever. I don't know
So
if
they didn't need you after all.
it's
Good, great, grand, wonderful.
Because if it
probably
was
not.
if that was that important, they would have waited for you.
Yep. They might have been mad, but they would have waited until
Yeah.
yeah. And so
Yeah.
the nurse was pushing the machine down the
Yeah.
hall as I was walking down the hall towards her.
So that's
And so she just like blew up on me. And I was like, well, I'm probably gonna get fired from this one.
yeah, that'd have been
And
worth it.
and
They never called again. They just gave you the one warning. If
they
they
gave me
really
the
wanted you, they would have hammered you again and said, "Hey, where the hell are you? Like, we need you now."
Well, like when I was in the room, my tech assistant had answered, like, because I brought it down initially, and then it was like went in
Yeah.
that one room.
Yeah, but
and
they
then,
didn't call you in between the initial call and then when your tech assistant came. Yeah, see, they don't wait 20 minutes. If it's urgent, they're gonna 5 minutes. That surgeon would be like, "Where the fuck is this guy at? Call him
Yeah.
again."
Yeah,
So
and so and I came down as quickly as I could once I got the other patient done or whatever, and then and nurse kept just telling me how bad it was. I remember getting back into the room and calling my lead and being like, "Hey, like this happened. I don't know, like I was doing an ER patient. I went in the room, like I went down there to try to find this place, and
yeah,
obviously I was directed to the wrong place because apparently if I'd have went down the hallway, like everybody must have been in the room, like ready for me or something,
waiting for you. Yeah,
waiting for me. But like it's not like I was just like forget it, like I'm not coming. Like I literally tried to find it and just was directed to the wrong area. And then I was like, when I went back upstairs, I was like, well, I still have work to do. I'm going to continue until they're ready. If I go into an empty room and no one's there, I'm like, well, I probably have some time to do some other things. And so I remember telling my lead at the time, and she was like, I was like, what do you, this is what's going on. This is what happened. Like they were really mad. She said the surgeon's really mad. The nurses are just irate because they're reproducing the surgeon's feelings to me. And she was like, no, the nurses that were touching our machine because they weren't trained to like be messing with our machine and they shouldn't touch it. And I was like, wow. Okay. She's like, you don't know where the OR is. She was like, she's like, you tried to find it. They told you the wrong spot. You went back upstairs, continuing doing your job. They called you again. She's like, you're the only person in the hospital that's doing this. And so they have to understand that they need to like coordinate times and where to be. And they can't just call you on a dime and say,
yeah,
get down here now
yeah,
and expect you to just go instantly. Like
yeah,
it's like, this was planned poorly. This is not your fault. I was like, wow. Like, and it was crazy because I had several full-time jobs where it was like I would do different things and it was just like it was always your fault. Like if you
yeah,
only saw the boss,
yeah.
like they would only come visit you if you did something wrong or if they thought you did something wrong. And my face looked angry.
Good.
I need to be like
All
mindful
that
of like,
resting bitch face.
yeah, like I was like, they called me in the office to tell me my face looked angry or like it looked not endear, whatever it was, whatever term she used. And I was like, this is a
Yeah.
joke. Like this is,
Resting ultrasound face didn't go over very well.
I was like, you're joking. Like I didn't say this, but I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
That like you saw
Yeah,
me
yeah,
from walking down and then actually the next week I won an award for the level of patient care that I gave.
Good.
A patient donated money to the hospital in my name for the level of
Hell
care
yeah.
that I was giving. And
Yeah.
I was like a little, it was like karma. Like it was like
It would have
perfect
been
karma.
even better if they said, I saw his face walking down the hallway and
Yeah,
I thought the hospital deserved some money.
yeah, that would have been so awesome. But like it was the karma and the irony of like
It's
that
just
happening.
stupid. Medicine,
And
the politics of this shit is stupid. People said that to me all the time when I was in training. Like, oh, you don't look happy. Oh, you don't sound happy. You don't sound this way. You don't sound. And people will. I'm not. I've learned to describe it as I'm not overly friendly with people. Like I say what I have to say and that's it. And people they think I'm a dickhead because I just don't say as much. Whereas the other doctors are just like overjoyous and they talk more. People think I'm a dickhead. I'm not really. I just don't say as much as most people do. I keep my interactions short. I don't want to talk to you. You probably don't want to talk to me. So why are we dragging this out? Like, but your story, I won't make you answer the question. But I'll answer it. I haven't had any really negative experiences with other providers, even techs or nurses. Nobody has really said. If I, when I did, people can't see if they listen to the audio, but I'm a fairly large individual. I have tattoos, so my stature probably is why most people don't say anything to me. But when they call on the phone, when they call radiology on the phone, they're always minus one group. And even though that group is usually nice, but most people are nice because they know they have no fucking clue what they're talking about when it comes to radiology. They can't look at an image. They can't decipher the image. They don't know what to order. So they know they can't be a dickhead to me because I'm the one that I'm going to have to answer this question for them.
Right.
So I've never had any real issues. You get people that gripe and moan, like, why is my study? It's been 20 minutes. Where the hell's my study? Like, you get those kind of calls, usually from the ED, and you're like, chill, bro.
RELAX. Relax.
Like, you're not the only one that has
Yeah.
stat studies. So I'll get to your chest x-ray when I get to it, like if you didn't order all these stupid ass studies that are useless that I have to sift through now. So but going back to your story, my least favorite group to interact with are surgeons in general. I saw I forget the name of the page. It's an Instagram page. He's a radiologist in the UK, I think, but he posted a meme and it was,
Hi there. Is there a project you're working on?
I know more than you.
All right.
the radiologist, the guy, he put radiologist over the Lowe's character, and then he put surgeon over Nick Offerman's character. And that's kind of usually my interaction with surgeons is they think they know more about imaging than we do.
Right.
Sometimes they do because they're
specific.
They're hands deep in this person's guts, so you can see what's going on. Then you go back and look at the image, and you're like, oh yeah, there it is. So I think they're the ones that are surgeons in general, just a little harder to deal with because they read their own imaging, which I appreciate, but they think we're idiots at the same time if they find something and we don't. So for the most part, I've never had any like terrible interactions with your techs or nurses or your doctors, really. So
I think I would agree. I think aside from those like two instances, which I didn't even have a bad instance with the surgeon because I never got to actually see the surgeon. I never got to talk to the surgeon. I have no idea. Like I was getting the brunt force of the nurse. Maybe the surgeon blew up on these nurses and was like,
I'm sure it was misplaced. Yeah.
Why isn't this
shit rolls downhill, right? It starts with the surgeon, went to the nurses, then it hit you.
When my supervisor was like, let me find out who touched our machine, and they need to have proper training, and like that was their first thought. I was like, wow, like this. So this is how this is how a good place is supposed
a good work
to
culture.
Like you support me. Like I told you what happened. You can listen. I'm sure they listened to what the other side said that happened, and they were understanding. Like, hey, this individual's the only person here in the hospital. They're taking care of everything, and you guys just threw this on him. He doesn't even know where he's going. He obviously made an attempt to get there.
Yeah.
And went to the wrong place.
Someone in your department didn't tell him, hey, no, it's not this one. It's just around the corner.
Yeah.
That person is at the front desk. What the hell else are they supposed to do? You answer the phone call, you direct people to like where they need to go. Like that's your job. You can't. It's just ultimately every experience you explained is bad for the patient. Like regardless of how you feel, your feelings really don't matter. Like, cause you're going to get over it.
Right.
But I mean, the moral of the story is just don't be a dickhead,
Yeah, don't be mean.
Everyone in medicine is overworked. They're stressing out. Sometimes they're the only person doing what they do. So you have to just be a human being. Like it's not hard. I'm guilty of it sometimes too. I answer the phone and people think I'm angry already, but like I'm not angry most of the time. So,
but the utmost respect for a coworker that would tell me, like I was like, hey, I want to take this day off to do this. Could you do it for me? And she would just say no.
Yeah.
And I'm like she, and you, sometimes you like wait because some people will say no. And then they give you like, oh, because I got to watch my kid.
Yeah. She just said no. Yeah.
You just say no. And like, I was like, oh, like, wow. Like I have a lot of respect for that because it's no, because she doesn't want to do it. I don't owe you a reason. And people can take that as mean, but
they will.
I don't want to. It's like you're returning an item in a store. Like I need to tell you.
Yeah, you don't have to justify shit. Just you don't want to do it. You don't want to do it. So
and don't be the person that makes people justify things. If somebody doesn't want to do something and they tell you no, I don't want to do it, don't make them feel bad because you can't go to the party or whatever it is that you wanted to do. You have your obligations that you had to work a certain day and you have to be there that day. And if you can't find somebody else to take it, don't try to guilt somebody into taking it, or if somebody tells like, it just, that drives me nuts. And I've talked to a lot of coworkers who I've said, hey, would you work this day for me? And they say no. And then they give me a reason. And I'm like, hey, I appreciate you giving me the reason, but like, if I ask you to do something and you don't want to do it, like you don't owe me anything. Like we're still friends. We're still colleagues. We're still whatever. But like, I don't want you to feel like you owe me that, because you don't.
Just remember that conversation when your tires are slit. It wasn't me, you know.
Your tires are slit. Yeah, it was not me, exactly.
'Cause you wouldn't work this day for me. Oh, just coincidence that your tires are flat when you
You
leave
can't
work.
go home. Oh, you're already here. You might as well just
Yeah.
work it. You're already here.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that'll do it for today's segment. As always, if you enjoyed the content, please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.